no game, no debate. The wheels stop turning, ain't it great? Red tape strapped like a birthday gift. Oh, steering this ship, we're gonna drift. Coffee's cold in the Capitol's halls. Echoes bounce off the marble walls. Shut it down, who needs a plan? We're dancing in the chaos, holding hands. Shut it down, watch it burn. Maybe tomorrow the tides will turn.
Warning, the following broadcast contains adult language, adult content, frank safety discussions, and stories that might sound unbelievable. But believe me, every one of those stories is true. We didn't start the safety war, but we are going to fight to win it. For our families, for our communities, for our workplaces, and for our lives. How's everybody doing out there? I just spilled a whole can of soda on my desk. That's okay. Accidents happen. Pardon me. Error is normal. Your reaction to it matters. Excitement today. Excitement. Hold on one second. It's like half of the people I work with have RSV. It's not fun. I never even heard of RSV until COVID, right? The end of COVID. Then we all had COVID, so what do we get? RSV. It took me about 3 months to get over it, so the people I'm with, Jim, how long did it take you to get over RSV? I said about 3 months. Oh, yeah, I won't go into details, but it was like I needed steroids because my sinuses unclogged. So here we are, day 8 here. So one of our, I don't know how often he listens, but he does listen every once in a while, had an altercation today that made the news. All right, so let's see. Here you go. Speaker Johnson, keep your mouth shut. Jeffries and GOP lawmaker clash in Capitol Hill showdown. So here we go. Tensions erupted on Capitol Hill Wednesday as two members of the House of Representatives got into a screaming match on the 8th day of the 2025 government shutdown. Representative Mike Lawler, my congressman, confronted House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries, also from New York, outside the latter's news conference over a bipartisan compromise on enhanced Obamacare subsidies, a key flashpoint in the fight over federal funding. Lawler taunted Jeffries about whether he could endorse Democratic Socialist Zohan Mamdani for mayor of New York City, which Jeffries did not answer. The heated exchange began with Lawler challenging Jeffries to sign onto bipartisan legislation extending COVID-19 pandemic-era enhancements to Obamacare subsidies for 1 year. Those subsidies are set to expire at the end of 2025 without congressional action, and Democrats have been demanding that the issue be addressed before they would agree on a federal funding bill to end the shutdown. We've got a 1-year extension. Why don't you sign on right now, Lawler asked. Jeffries responded, did you get permission from your boss? Did your boss, Donald Trump, give you permission? Lawler said he's not my boss. The two men spoke over each other for nearly 5 minutes, both accusing the other's party of derailing the government. You're an embarrassment, Jeffries said. Right? I voted for a tax cut that gave the largest tax cut to Americans in history, including, by the way, the average New Yorker getting a $4,000 tax cut. Are you against that? Lawler asked. Jeffries responded, "You're embarrassing yourself. The largest cut to Medicaid in American history. You voted for that." The House Democrat leader pointed his finger out into Lawler's chest, telling him, "You're not going to talk to me and talk over me because you don't want to hear what I have to say. So why don't you just keep your mouth shut?" "Oh, that's just the way you want to talk," Lawler reported. They continued debating the merits of the Republicans' policy bill, though Lawler repeatedly tried to ask Jeffries if he would sign on to an Obamacare extension. It goes on and on and on. Right? So basically, my understanding is that they voted on this at least twice today to get everything's up and running again. They can't come to an agreement. I mean, that's why we have these songs, We always have these songs, right? Here. Hold on. Oh. Here. I don't know. Here you go.
Day 3, no pay, no mail, no cheer. I tried to call, but no one's here. The lights are on, but the desk is bare. The vending machine, it ate my change. The world outside feels kinda strange. This shutdown's got me rearranged. Shutdown, shuffle, we're stuck in the groove. No one's dancing, no one can move. Shutdown, shuffle, what can we do? Day 3's a party, but it's overdue.
Yeah, gotta have a little fun here with this. I mean, you people are way too freaking serious. I know it's a very serious thing, the government shutdown. But on the other hand here, part of the way you can manage a lot of the stress is by laughing at it, right? And if you can find some humor in this, that's the way to go with this. I mean, it's exposing, when things are going good and things are going great, it's kind of hard to judge a person, judge their character. It's when you get into these situations where you have problems, then you find out what they're really made of, right? Good things, no. Good times breed soft people, right? Bottom line. All right, so let's get into some of the other news here. So Department of Labor there's nothing going on there. There's a whole bunch of accident reports that came out in the general press. We're going to start looking into the state level here on things. For the state levels, no, they don't really do press releases here. So let's share this. EPA to hold public hearing on the city of Asheboro's wastewater treatment plan proposed permit. This is out of Atlanta. The U.S. EPA will hold public hearing on October 22nd, 2025 regarding the EPA's specific objection to a North Carolina DEQ proposed National Pollutant Discharge Elimination System permit for the city of Asheboro's wastewater treatment plant. In 2023, the city of Asheboro applied for the permit, which NC North Carolina DEQ issued in 2024. The city of Asheboro challenged the DEQ's authority to include a 1,4-dioxane water quality limit in the permit. A state administrative judge avoided the 1,4-dioxane effluent discharge limitation in the permit. EPA sent a specific objection letter supporting the state's permit and inviting anyone to request a public hearing on the matter, and the city of Asheboro made this request. So you can go on the EPA website on there. Let's see what this letter looks like. Specific objection letter. Let's see what we have here. So, all right, so it's around 8 pages of documentation here. And, all right, well, I'm not going to sit here and read 8 pages to you folks. I'm sure there's some people who would like that because there's some particular people that really like to hear my voice on air. So I was thinking about doing a After dark. Safety wars after dark. Right? So this is from the 29th of September from the FBI. Update from FBI Detroit on shooting and fire at a Michigan church. Hold on one second here. Sorry, everybody. I must be getting that RSV everybody has. This is from FBI Detroit shooting and fire at Michigan church. My name is Reuben Coleman, and I am the acting special agent in charge of the FBI Detroit field office. At this time, we wanted to provide an update on our investigative efforts regarding yesterday's tragic shooting at the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints here in Grand Blanc, Michigan. First, I want to express my gratitude, and he goes on, and they are going to investigate this. So I haven't heard any updates to this whole thing. I tell you what, here we have from the second. The FBI violent crime operations net 8,600 arrests in 3 months. Summer Heat Initiative, part of FBI's efforts to crush violent crime. The FBI and its law enforcement partners made 8,629 arrests across the country as part of Summer Heat, the FBI's nationwide initiative targeting violent crime during summer months. We are not messing around, said FBI Director Kash Patel. Our number one mission is crushing violent crime. If you hurt a child, we're coming for you. If you jack a car, we're coming for you. If you're polluting our neighborhoods with deadly drugs, we're coming for you. So, they're coming for you. So, and apparently there's an issue here generating a video. It doesn't want to do it. So we're heading on over. Now, there's more to this than what has been reported. All right, furloughed federal workers not guaranteed back pay, according to the White House. Federal law currently requires that federal workers receive retroactive pay and leave accrual. GOP leaders cite legal analysts who say it may be unnecessary. Federal workers who have been furloughed during the ongoing U.S. government shutdown are not guaranteed to receive back pay for their time spent out of work, a Trump administration official confirmed to the Epoch Times on October 7th. The administration is preparing to argue that a federal law purportedly requiring payment of a back pay is not self-executing and will require Congress specifically to approve such funding in the new continuing resolution. Right? In previous years, when a bill, and this is from the Epoch Times from Arjun Singh and Emil Khan. Right, so usually they pass the two bills, right? Or they include the bill when they reopen the government. Some essential workers continue to work without pay during shutdowns as required by law, including U.S. military, law enforcement officers, air traffic controllers, and others. The Government Employee Fair Treatment Act of 2019 passed in the wake of the shutdown during the first Trump administration and signed into law by President Donald Trump during his first term requires that federal workers receive retroactive pay, right, and accrued leave. There are some legal analysts who are saying that back pay may not be appropriate or necessary. With that, however, they should be getting it, not getting allegedly. One analyst has said that there were other subsequent legislation that negates that. I don't know. We'll see. And here's some really good news for a lot of people, I'm sure. IRS to furlough 34,000 employees as government shutdown halts Treasury operations. The agency said around 46% of staff, so there's about 68,000 people working for the IRS. More like 70,000 are being furloughed amid debate in Washington whether back pay is guaranteed. The IRS sent an emergency message to staff that it will furlough more than 34,000 employees. Starting October 8th, due to government shutdown. Due to lapse in appropriations, most IRS operations are closed. An IRS-wide furlough began on October 8th, that is today, for everyone except already identified accepted and exempt employees. The furloughs amount to 46%. Okay, they mentioned that how many times? So who are we talking about? Call center employees, IT workers, and most headquarters staff will be sent down. Employees assigned to carry out the tax and spending law that President Donald Trump signed in July will continue working. And I don't know. Right, so basically you can't even go there on a voluntary basis. How do you like that? Florida man. Now, this was the big story of the day. Florida man. We all know Florida man. We know what that means. Florida man arrested for allegedly igniting a deadly Palisades fire back in January. Prosecutors allege that Jonathan Rinkernecht, an Uber driver, maliciously started a fire near a popular hiking trail. I want to know why he did it. I've been looking at this for a good chunk of the day here. Why did he do it? So basically, he lit a fire on New Year's Day. The fire smoldered underground, and then eventually you had the Palisades fire. So basically, billions of dollars in property damage and killing 12 people. Now, I was watching this press conference a little bit today, and I tell you what do they do? They were able to pinpoint the location for the start of the fire based on the pattern of the natural materials that burned, because apparently they orient themselves in the direction of where the ignition is. So they had people out there with like fine-tooth combs, right, tweezers, cameras, looking at this stuff, and it's amazing. They were able to find that. Then once they found that, they were able to use cell phone data to ping where this who was there and when, and then they were able to backtrack from there using AI. And apparently this guy had some very interesting inquiries into ChatGPT that indicated to them, that added gravy to this case. And basically they got him. I'm interested in seeing now the alleged person went out and allegedly went and back to the scene of the crime. All this is alleged. I don't know. It's kind of I don't know. We'll see what happens. I want to know what his motive was in this. Not that you need a motive to convict, but it would be interesting to get some of his background on here. All right. And again, California is still not fixing the problem, which they don't have enough capacity to fight fires there. And they know that, and they knew that before the fire. And they did nothing, and, of course, blame the messenger. Recent research, now have you heard this? Gut changes persist for years after stopping certain medications. Recent research shows that common medications such as antibiotics and antidepressants can cause problems. The body clears medicines within hours to weeks. However, recent studies suggest that drugs you took years ago may continue to affect your gut. The more frequently and longer they're used, the greater their effect. Nearly 9 out of 10 commonly used medications leave permanent changes in gut bacteria. Right? So what is that? Screw with the microbes and everything. So what are we looking here? A common bacterial type that increases with drug exposure, such as antidepressants or beta blockers, is the Clostridium family. Some of these bacterial species are linked to rare cases of infections in humans. Benzodiazepines are linked to decrease in Doria formigeneris, and Ruminococcus torcus. Now, I picked this story just because I could show off a little bit on my pronunciation, here, right? Not working out so good. Doria formicidgenerans, that's it, formicidgenerans, are linked with obesity and metabolic syndrome in some human studies so they can reduce beneficial metabolites. Rhuminococcus sorcus is a bacteria that breaks down the mucus in the gut lining and is linked to gut conditions such as Crohn's disease, irritable bowel syndrome, metabolic disorders when present in abundance. Drugs used for the same condition didn't always affect the gut. This is from the Epoch Times. For instance, when benzodiazepines, alprazolam, led to a greater loss of gut microbial diversity than diazepam. Proton pump inhibitors are linked to the increased levels of oral bacteria, such as Streptococcus parasiginus and Veillonella parvovirus, both linked to periodontal disease and dental cavities. But anyway, it's in there. How do you recover? See your doctor. I'm not going to tell you that. I'm just going to say that a study did this. All right. Let's go to our first commercial break, and we will come back to you.
Safety Wars is streaming now.
SafetyFM.com.
What if everything we thought we knew about safety was just interference? From the host of the Rated R Safety Show and the founder of Safety FM comes the complete signal transmission trilogy, now available in one powerful edition. Safety, in my opinion, the book that started the conversation. Safety Mutation, where the boundaries of culture, systems, and belief begin to break. And now, Safety Transmission, the final piece of the signal. For the first time, all three books are together in one volume. The Signal Transmission Trilogy, Complete Edition. This isn't just about compliance. It's about consciousness. It's about decoding the way we think, lead, and live, inside and outside the system. Whether you've been following the signal since the beginning or you're just now tuning in, this is the version to own. Search Signal Trilogy on Amazon or visit safetyfm.com to get your copy now.
From the front lines of the safety war, it's Safety Wars, with your host, Jim Posel on Safety FM. Get ready to face the harsh reality.
Is your safety training old, stale, and hackneyed? Is your safety trainer still preaching a warped version of behavior-based safety? How about safety training that is designed to actually address and assess your hazards and liabilities and is not standardized baloney from generations ago? Contact the Safety Wars team at safetywars.com or call me, Jim Polson, at 845-269-5772. Remember, if you are receiving this message, you are the solution to unsafe workplaces. OSHA recordables, catastrophic losses, environmental disasters. You want answers? So do I. This is Jim Posel with Safety Wars.
That's my daddy!
Safety Wars is streaming now.
SafetyFM.com.
No one's home. Paper stacks, but no one files. Gridlock got us stuck.
So here is some stuff from Study Finds. All right? StudyFinds.org.
Shut it down, let's play pretend.
Alarming survey shows families are showering in the dark and using phone flashes for lighting cigars. More than half of low-income American households are skipping meals and cutting back on food to keep the lights on, according to a new nationwide survey. Research exposes the brutal trade-offs families face as energy costs continue to climb. A survey of over 1,000 Americans found that 52% of low-income households sacrifice food or groceries in the past year to pay utility bills, but the compromises don't stop at the dinner table. 1 in 6 low-income families skip necessary medical care or medication, while others cut transportation, internet service, or even miss rent payments just to avoid a power shutoff. Researchers at Payless Power, the Texas electricity provider, that commissioned the study, described the pattern where families treat electricity like a luxury. And it goes on and on and on. This is only going to get worse here. I'm sorry, until we figure out what the hell is going on out there. All right, because I tell you what, these energy efficient appliances and other things out there are being canceled out, the savings, by having more of things, right? By buying more. They've known about this since the late 1990s, early 2000s on this, with the California energy crisis that led to the election of Arnold Schwarzenegger as governor. Okay. Fraud Nation. This, again, is from Study Finds. Americans hit with 100 scam attempts every month, and we're the tops in the world. Americans are being bombarded with fraudulent messages at a rate that seemingly dwarfs the rest of the world. New research reveals that the average American encounters 100 scam attempts every single month. Okay. Right. Of course, we're getting hit with more. I tell you what, there's whole safety programs dedicated to this. All right. What else we got? So we're going to talk about some workplace accidents here. First one is Medina County, Texas data center construction worker killed by articulating truck. Investigations are underway. Right. And this is from GoSuits.com, a blog. I'm not sure what this is for GoSuits, but this is a blog. Looks like they're attorneys here. What we know about the Medina County construction site fatality. According to public reporting, a construction worker was killed on Monday at the site of a planned data center in Medina County, Texas. The worker was identified as a subcontractor working on a project where a very well-known construction management firm is the general contractor, and another company is involved with the data center development. Statements released by the company representatives indicate the worker was struck by an articulating truck on the job site. Medical personnel responded and emergency officials later took over, but the worker was pronounced dead at the scene. Work at the site was suspended, and everyone's doing investigations. Right? Let's see. Actually, I'm remiss here. Let me do this. So, a lot of things out here, right? Nothing there from the actual construction manager I can find on the air, right, in a short amount of time. So, it's from ksat.com. Wednesday morning, they still had not gotten back to work. However, the company was working with investigators to determine how the deadly incident occurred. The spokesman did not respond to further questions that happened on County Road 683. And, people don't like it when this real bad PR, but really a tragedy for the family. Here we have another worker over in, I'm not exactly sure where this is. Contract worker dies at UPPCO's Hoist Dam. All right, this is in, this should clear it up. Nagoni Township. Right, a contractor died Friday morning while working at the Upper Peninsula Power Company's hoist dam in Nagooni Township, authorities said. The Marquette County Sheriff's Office Technical Rescue Unit 131 was dispatched by about 11 a.m. for a confined space rescue inside a penstock at the Hoist Powerhouse, according to a news release from the Sheriff's Office. So, penstock, if I could describe this to you, there's piping in a dam, especially for a hydroelectric power dam. And it is a pipe that goes from the upper part of the dam down to the lower part of the dam. All right, and that has to be maintained every once in a while. So there's another famous accident that happened at another penstock. I believe it was Colorado around 10 years ago. The CSB, Chemical Safety Board, has a report out on it in a video, pretty impressive, that I used to show to industrial painters with that. So there was a death, and they don't really go into detail, right? It was a confined space entry type of situation. This sounds like something for the Chemical Safety Board to look into. Right, and now this is from Michigan, right? And this is from, I know, it says the World Socialist Workers site, right? Website. But, it's like this. They do have they have a talent for identifying problems. It's just the solutions may not work, right? But there is a problem. Tuesday, October 7th, marked 6 months since the death of Stellantis worker Ronald Adams Sr. at the company's Dundee Engine Complex in southern Michigan. Stellantis United Auto Workers of the Michigan Workplace Safety Agency have all remained silent on the cause of death of the 63-year-old skilled tradesman, even as full production at the plant has long since resumed. Adams, a 19-year-old veteran known for defending his co-workers' safety, was crushed to death while performing maintenance on an industrial washer system. An automated hoist or gantry suddenly activated and pinned him against the conveyor. Spokesman for MIOSHA told the World Socialist website that the investigation is still ongoing, offering no updates 6 months after the fatality. And I tell you what, they have usually federal OSHA has 6 months to issue a report. I don't know what my OSHA's policy here is, but according to the details here, who knows? There could be some kind of foul play here with this. So there was an investigation, right, by a International Workers Alliance and rank and file committees. Right, on July 27th, the committee convened a public hearing in Detroit to present its findings here testimony. The investigation's finding is production pressure. Again, this sounds like a... No, these things you say, well, why are we reading this? This is from the wording on this. What I find is the wording, right? Again, I'm a safety guy. I plagiarize an awful lot. Right, like a lot of other people through my career. Now I'm not doing it really, but safety people have a tendency of reusing things, borrowing things. Now, let me point something out to everybody here. Reading is important because reading gives you an idea how other people describe things, so then you could describe things and maybe borrow from that. And it helps you to articulate more. So reading and articulation go together. So it's important to read, right? Especially if you're doing anything with safety, you're going to be talking to people if you want to be effective, right? So here you go. Production pressures and safety violations. Retooling was more than a year behind schedule. With UAW approval, management cut corners to resume production quickly. All right, United Auto Workers, right? I guess that is United Auto Workers. Now, this is alleged here. Just telling you. With UAW approval, management cut corners and resumed production quickly. Shooter keys were widely distributed to bypass lockouts and speed up repairs. Growing up in construction and growing up when doing environmental cleanup, so working my way through college at a Teamster warehouse, not very surprising that a union would stray away from protecting its workers. I'm just telling you the way it is. The last project I was on in New York, there were not as bad as that, but there were similar things going on, right? Long-standing unsafe conditions. The factory has a record of serious injuries during new product launches, right? Which means that they're probably in the rules or the knowledge mode with the SKR model of things. And injured workers are forced back to line despite doctors' orders. UAW complicity through its corporate partnership, the UAW oversaw lockout tagout procedures while shielding union officials from legal liability. After Adam's death, both Stellantis and the UAW scrambled to conceal responsibility, ordering workers to return their treater bars to bins near the union office. Ignored witnesses, contractors from Five Cinetic, who worked with Adams to set up the washer and gantry system, were never interviewed for the investigation. Right? The company has imposed new safety measures without acknowledging its roles. The changes have served mainly to discipline workers, not to protect them. I mean, all this stuff, it's a behavior-based safety person's dream that all this is happening, basically. This is what happens. Blame the worker. Violations, often the result of overwork and speed up, are used as pretexts for firings. While management and union committees chant safety first, even as they enforce long hours of production orders. Now, this is all from one point of view, all right? I don't know how accurate this is with this. And then they go on and list all of the recent deaths at plants, right? And then, of course, they blame Donald Trump with this, right? Really, you gotta love it. Gotta freaking love it. This is from L.A. I guess that's Donald Trump's fault too, not the company's fault. We have 5,000. If you go by the numbers by OSHA, 55,000 fatalities every year. Right, they had 5,000 that they track, but it's really closer to 55,000 according to the models out there. Mostly industrial hygiene issues, and it's all Donald Trump's fault. Really, it's the company's fault. It's the safety professionals' fault if you're going to assign blame. But as we know, blame fixes nothing. Here, again, unless you're calling for the government to micromanage every part of your life, right? And it's like a mentor of mine said, "What do we got to do? Teach everybody to wipe their own, right?" And I don't know what to tell you. Right, so a construction worker was killed on Monday while trapped underneath a street sweeper at a construction site in Santa Fe. This is in L.A., Santa Fe Springs. Authorities were called to the 1600 block of Carmenita Road at around 8:30 a.m. After learning of a person who was stuck underneath the vehicle, fire personnel arrived at the site, pronounced dead. I don't know. Horrible news. I'm sorry, folks. Tonight. So here we have another one outside of in Massachusetts. A worker died Tuesday after falling from a third floor roof of a house in Revere. Right, the person was repairing a house at a certain address when he fell. according to the Suffolk County DA. Man was taken to Massachusetts General Hospital where he was pronounced dead. No foul play is expected. Okay, so let me get this straight. Now, this is the thing, right? This appears to be a tragic workplace accident, right? According to the district attorney here in charge here, the attorney general, whatever this is. So you have a right to a safe and healthful workplace free of recognized hazards. You have a right for training. You have a right for what the hazards are. And the other thing is that the employer has the responsibility of enforcing rules, and you have the authority and the responsibility of following rules. Unless this was a self-employed person, right? That's where companies, especially roofing companies, try to get around the law. Well, they're all self-employed, so therefore OSHA doesn't apply. Yeah, I don't think so. But, again, personnel from OSHA, which investigates workplace accidents, that's also on scene. Revere Fire Chief told the Boston Globe the house next door was impacted by the fire in June. Whatever they were fixing could have been a result of the fire next door. I don't know if that was just routine repairs. Under investigation. Again, the employer has the responsibility of protecting you here with that. And we'll see what happened here. Construction worker dies after suffering an injury at a Van Meter school district. This is out of Des Moines, Iowa. Right? The 33-year-old construction worker died after falling off a roof about 30 foot high. Right? Again, man was dead. Everyone's pronounced dead at the scene. Falls. Right? Construction falls. And let's see what else we got here. So the airports are still fouled up, right? So this is from NBC News. From about midday, flight delays are reported across the country for a second straight day. Tuesday, as the FAA administrator, right, rates for more airport staffing shortage as the government shutdown continues. So then we know people are not getting paid. They're getting pissed off. So they're not showing up to work. Or maybe it's presenteeism. What a shock. Here, the National Air Traffic Controllers Association reminded members it does not endorse, support, or condone federal employees participating in coordinated activities that could affect flight safety or cause delays. Participating in a job action could result in removal from federal service. This is what Ronald Reagan did in the summer of 1981. So you're not allowed to strike if you're a federal worker. They go on some type of a strike or walkout or something, they could be fired. It's the way it is with that. Right? Again, allegedly calling out sick and everything else. Gene Simmons, hospitalized in Los Angeles car crash after passing out behind the wheel. The 76-year-old rocker reportedly passed out behind the wheel on Pacific Coast Highway. His SUV was sent veering off across several lanes before slamming into the vehicle. A voicemail message sent to a local NBC4 Simmons said, "I am doing fine." Hopefully for a speedy recovery. Right, his wife Shannon Tree was also injured. And Treat also revealed Simmons had recently undergone a medication change and needs to stay better hydrated, something she's joked isn't exactly his strong suit. Right? Why would you even admit that? Aye. The Pearl Harbor and Oppenheimer star, along with his 59-year-old driver, was treated for minor injuries. So what was this? Okay, so Josh Harnett was also hospitalized in Canada. What's going on with the West Coast here? I don't know. You think we have problems with power? Here we go. This is from Madrid. This is from archive.is. And from Reuters. This is from today. Spain's grid operator, REE, has detected steep voltage swings in the system over the past 2 weeks that are capable of affecting power supply in the county that suffered a massive blackout in April, and warned in a document sent to a market regulator, and urged swift technical changes to be implemented to avoid any such impact. Right? And again, not only in this country, all over the world, electric shortages. So, let's go for another break here so I can line up some more stories. There's some stories that I have here that I cannot seem to find. So we're going to go for a little bit of a commercial break here.
It's coming up out of the ground. The toxic waste is bubbling out. It seeps into your skin. It's in your blood now. C of R 1920. Talks like you and it looks like you, but it's not you.
This is gonna blow your mind. There's a new daytime talk show on your local cable access station. What happens when safety, scandal, and heartbreak collide? Welcome to Safety Wars, the talk show. Today's episode is a doozy. Imagine confronting your unsafe supervisor who just happens to be your ex-wife's new hubby. Talk about a powder keg. But wait, there's more. We've got an exclusive interview with a corporate exec who's taken out life insurance policies on his riskiest workers, hoping to cash in on a deadly mishap. Yup, you heard that right. It's a real-life plot twist you can't make up. Tune in as Jim Posel, CSP, our very own Jerry Springer of Safety, dives deep into this explosive confrontation. Sparks will fly and secrets will be exposed. Catch the full episode on Safety Wars on YouTube and your favorite podcast platform. Don't miss out on the drama that could save your life. Like and share now, and stay safe, folks.
From the front lines of the safety war, it's Safety Wars, with your host, Jim Posel on Safety FM. Get ready to face the harsh reality.
So here we have another story off of Study Finds. All right, numb and unfulfilling. 46% of workers have considered quitting over emotional exhaustion. When asked to, in a nutshell, when asked to describe their work jobs in one word, workers most often said tired, surviving, and meh. 46% of U.S. employees have considered quitting because they feel emotionally exhausted or numb at work. Almost half say company changes make them feel indifferent, anxious, or nothing at all. Signs of widespread detachment. The negativity out there today. I'm sorry, folks. 63% sometimes feel disconnected from colleagues despite the constant digital communication. Most say they are just surviving rather than thriving, and many no longer believe asking for help would make a difference. So this was a study, right? The study's authors run this emotional flatness could signal. Remember, there is a signal, right? The signal trilogy. A new normal and how people relate to work when asked to, right? And some go further, blah, blah, autopilot, right? I'm here to get paid, all that stuff. So this is from the UK-based workplace learning company Sponge. Shows nearly half of workers have considered leaving their positions due to emotional exhaustion or feeling numb at work. Another 3% already have. Right? Burnout narrative here. Change feels like noise, while acute reactions like anxiety and overwhelm remain present. A deeper emotional state has taken hold. Researchers describe this as a new phase in workplace emotional shutdown, one marked by widespread detachment. What we are seeing now is the impact of their endurance over the past decade through the years of uncertainty, disruption, and digital saturation that were further intensified by the pandemic. The Sponge team wrote in their analysis, this prolonged strain has given rise to a new set of dominant emotional experiences, not just stress in the moment, but a deeper state of numbness, self-preservation, and detachment. When companies announce new rules, ways of working, or strategies, 30%, and again, this is for you HOP practitioners out there, 30% of employees feeling numb or indifferent. Another 70% feel nothing at all. And that's nearly half the workforce greeting organizational change with emotional flatness other than engagement. Only 23% said such announcements make them feel inspired or excited. The remaining 30% reported feeling overwhelmed or anxious. For many workers, change has become something to endure rather than to embrace. Right? Again, hopelessness. And that hopelessness will, I think, bleeds some of our, has led to some of our unrest out there. Man charged with having explosive materials near DC Church hosting the annual Red Mass celebration. Right? I do not know this guy. He's from Vineland. Honest, right? A New Jersey man has been arrested on charges that he had explosive materials in his possession near a Washington, D.C. church that was preparing to celebrate the annual mass marking the start of the U.S. Supreme Court's term, according to police and court records. Louis Jerry, 41 of Vineland, was charged with possession of a destructive device after his arrest on Sunday outside St. Matthew's Cathedral, court records show. Where is this from? It's on MSNBC, but who's it really from? The Associated Press. Police officers were cleaning up the area near the Roman Catholic Church before the ceremony when they saw Jerry setting up a tent on the steps. Right, Jerry had been barred from the premises previously, was arrested when he refused to move his tent off church property. Thankfully, there were no justices present this year at the Mass, according to the article. Jerry told police that he had explosive devices and said, "You might want to stay back and call the federales." According to a police report, Jerry was also holding a butane ladder and had a bag containing vials of a yellow liquid. In the tent, investigators found what appeared to be parts of making a destructive device. I'm not going to mention how he did this. They have details on it. I don't do that. I don't know. A lot of disturbed people out there. So what was that, the Red Mass? I mean, no, we reported on it. What's here? Here's an article here. Washington's, and this is from AmericanMagazine.org. Washington's Archbishop Cardinal Robert McElroy on Sunday urged members of the U.S. Supreme Court and other lawyers and judges and officers of the court assembled for the annual Red Mass at the Cathedral of St. Matthew the Apostle to act as instruments of hope in a nation divided by factionalism and troubled political violence. Right? We have witnessed the assassination of Charlie Kirk and the assault upon the Capitol, Cardinal McElroy said. Addressing the members of the court during his homily on October 5th, both mark a progression from civil dialogue to uncivil dialogue to force and fear. It's certainly true that political violence has been a part of our history as a nation. That political dialogue has often been confrontational, the Cardinal said, but we live at a moment in which politics is tribal, not dialogical, and where the party label has become a shorthand for worldview on the most volatile topics of our national life. The result is explosive within politics, family, life, and friendships. right? And the United States has experienced a historic collapse of trust in civic, political, and religious institutions. The benign examination of institutional life that is vital for societal health has turned into a corrosive instinct to the attack of every major institution. As a consequence, the legitimacy of our very institutional infrastructure is at stake. And it goes on and on and on. No group in our society has a greater capacity to mold our political discourse. No group has a deeper calling to bring hope, meaning the judges and members of the government. Reminding the congregation of the day's gospel reading from Luke 4:18 through 19 to bring glad tidings to the poor, to proclaim liberty to the captives, recovery of sight to the blind, and proclaim a year of favor to the Lord. To keep the poor and powerless at the forefront of our thoughts and actions. Okay, now I don't know this guy except for this article. It goes on and on and on, right? Here. And they do mention a prayer, and that God will constantly raise your eyes to wisdom, compassion, and judgment, and you may be consoled when you feel torn or adrift in the deepest moments of achievement and satisfaction. You might understand that God is at work in you, and that the nobility recalling will sustain through every adversity. Okay, so what's the and the author is, and I'm not going to, I believe that this is an accurate article from Kevin Clark. If you're a person of faith, what's missing here? All right, and I don't normally get religious here. All right, this is America, this is the Jesuit Review. What's missing here is, okay, they're teaching morality. Great, church has a role in teaching morality. Where's the gospel here of Jesus Christ? You can't give one line here. Right? I hope he talked more here about this, but that's what's missing here with this. And this is a presumably a Catholic thing. And I know a lot of Catholics that talk a lot about Jesus. Talk more about Jesus than a lot of evangelicals or Pentecostals out there. So I don't think it's necessarily the membership of the Catholic Church that is the issue here. It could be somebody in the leadership. And as you may know, here I mentioned it before, I was... I've done a lot of research here. With this on churches, loss of leadership, ritualized sexual abuse, things of that nature in the church and in other organizations. They hurt themselves here. They're talking about a historic collapse of trust in civic, political, and religious institutions. Maybe you got to look in your own life and how you handled things with this. Before we're going on, and how do we improve things with this? And again, priest or minister is there to try to calm things down, try to give us hope, try to give us, working together and everything else. And now you think that's where it needs to happen, is that. Spread the love of Jesus Christ and go from there with this. Hopefully he had something about Jesus in his sermon. It's always nice to hear. So, for Safety Wars and Safety FM, this is Jim Posel for Safety Wars, and I will see you tomorrow, God willing. Jesus willing.
The views and opinions expressed on this podcast are those of the host and its guest and do not necessarily reflect the official policy or position of the company. Examples of analysis discussed within this podcast are only examples. They should not be utilized in the real world as the only solution available, as they are based only on very limited and dated open source information. Assumptions made within this analysis are not reflective of the position of the company. No part of this podcast may be reproduced, stored in a retrieval system, or transmitted in any form or by any means, mechanical, electronic, recording, or otherwise, without prior written permission of the creator of the podcast, Jay Allen.